first thing I need to do, as always, is make that construction line crosshair. Okay, so I'm going to start with the top view and start with the rings themselves, the circles, work my way from the inside out. So that first one, you can see its diameter is 1.125. On your drawing, it says ream to that diameter, and that is, it's like drilling, but it's like a super precision kind of drilling. It's really a scraping process that's done after you drill. So it's a very accurate hole. The next circle is a diameter of 2.25. All right, then we get to the outer ring here. And that is dimensioned as 10 inches on your drawing at its center. So if I do the center line at 10-inch diameter, I can then offset that line the thickness of this outer ring. And you can see it is 1.125 round, which means if I would offset this guy in both directions, half of that distance. So 1.125 is 9/8, so half of that distance would be 9/16. So I'm going to type in 9/16 and then offset that guy in both directions. 9/16 of an inch, there it is. And then convert these outer two into object lines. Perfect. All right, next thing I want to do is the spokes themselves. The spokes, as you can see here, are elliptical in shape. They are 1.125 wide in this view, and in the side view, they will be 5/8 wide. Again, to get that, to get their width, I'm going to offset the same distance. So I'm going to say O, enter, and use that same value of 9/16 and offset the construction line there, 9/16 in both directions. Then I'm going to go to my object layer and connect these guys. Okay, looking good. My next move is to put the fillet on the upper half here. So the fillet that goes in here where the spoke meets the outer ring is 1/4 of an inch. You can see all fillets are 1/4 of an inch unless otherwise noted. So the one in the bottom of the spokes is 1/2 of an inch. That's the odd man out. So we'll do those fillets. We'll say F, enter, R, enter, 0.25, enter. And then we'll fillet these guys there to there, and there to there. Nice. The next move is something kind of new. We're going to copy this guy around 4 more times for a total of 5 spokes. And there is a feature in AutoCAD that lets you do that very quickly. It's called array. It is a polar array. So if I come over here to the Modify menu and I click on Array, I can choose Polar Array. There it is. The default is Rectangular Array. We're going to choose Polar Array. The first thing it asks you to do is to select the objects. I have 4 things I need to pick, the 2 lines and the 2 fillets. I'm just going to do a enclosed selection box here and grab them all that way nice and easy. And now that I'm done picking, I'm going to hit the Enter button. And then it says to specify the center. The center is the center of the circle, of course. And when I click, boom, it automatically populates with the default value of 6. So you can see it up here, it says 6 items. I don't want 6, I want 5. So I'm going to change that to a 5. and then I'm going to hit enter, and then I'm going to exit out, close the array. There it is. So the array command right there it is, works by simply first choosing the spokes and whatever else you want to copy, hitting the enter button, then clicking the center of the circle and hitting the enter button, and then finally changing the number of items to whatever number you want. Pretty simple and very convenient. Okay, the next thing I need to do is fillet the inside of these spokes with that 1/2 inch radius. Now there is a little problem. Once you do the array, you can see the entire array is like one whole unit. So if I click on it, it selects all of it. And it will not allow me to fillet 2 lines because it doesn't see them as lines anymore. It just sees them as one big thing. So if you don't need it to be one big thing anymore, you can turn it back into bits and pieces with the explode command. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to type explode, E-X-P-L-O-D-E, click on it, and click any part of that array, any one of the spokes, click on it, and then hit enter. And now it's back to bits and pieces, individual lines that I can select individually and fillet individually. And that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to the fillet command, and I'm going to say R, enter, and the value is 0.5, enter. And I'm going to click these lines, each one of them, and then hit the enter button, enter button, enter button, and lastly, there it is. What's next? Well, we can either do the revolve section or the keyway. I think we'll do the keyway. So the keyway is dimensioned on here. You can see I have the 1.313 dimension as its overall height. It was given to us a little differently. It was given to us as a keyway that was 3/8 by 3/16, which means that the key itself would be 3/8 square. So half of it went into this and half of it goes into the shaft. So if it's 3/8 square, that means it's going to be 3/16 or half that distance into each thing. So if you're going to create this, the easiest way to have created this from the dimensions we were given would be to have a construction line, and I'm making my construction lines now because we're going to need them. So I'm just putting all these construction lines in place here. And I'm going to put one at the bottom of this arc as well. You'll see that's going to be useful later. So I'm going to take that construction line, I'm going to offset it the depth of the keyway, which was 3/16. So here we go. O, enter, 3/16, enter. And I'm going to click it, and I'm going to pull it down. So now I've offset it down that amount. I'm also going to take the vertical center construction line and offset it 3/6 in both directions. So I'm going to, same distance in both directions. So let me zoom in on that. So I had this construction line right here. I'll make it green so it stands out. And then I offset it downward 3/16. And I offset this center line over on both sides 3/16, which gave me these guys. And I'll highlight them so you can see them. So those are the ones I created. They're all 3/16 offsets from the center over and from this tangent line down. And that is what I'm going to now use to make the seat itself, the keyway itself. And so I'm just going to grab a rectangle and stretch it up into here somewhat. I could go right to this corner, and that would be pretty simple. Just make sure you don't go to that construction line, because then it's not actually touching. You got to go to the circle's edge or above it, which is fine. And yeah, so there you go. And I'm going to put these guys back on their appropriate layers. And then we'll trim this off by simply turning off the construction lines and then trimming this out. And there it is. So now we have the keyway. Put those construction lines back on. And again, that was done by simply offsetting the tangent and the center line 3/16. Okay. So what's next? The revolved section. The revolved section can go anywhere in the spoke. It really doesn't matter. I just kind of went a little more toward the top. And the key to doing that was to just put a construction line approximately where you want it to be. So that's pretty straightforward. We'll say like right there. And then taking that guy and offsetting him the size of the ellipse. So the ellipse or the cross section is 5/8 in total, which means from the center, which is what this line is, it's going to be 5/16 both ways. So if you offset that 5/16 in both directions, you got what you're after. And there it is. You can see it right over there. So I'm now going to take my ellipse tool. Make sure I can find it. There it is. It's right underneath the rectangle tool. And I'm going to use the center one. It doesn't matter. You could use the axis one or the center. It really doesn't matter. Click on the center point, and then you click on the edge, and then you click on the other edge. So it's center, and then one edge, and then the other edge. It doesn't matter what order you do it in. You could click the center this way, and then the upper edge, and then the lower edge, either way. But center is first. And that is the ellipse that we're after. And you could leave it like that. I broke mine out, and you can see why, because I wanted to be able to put these dimensions in without having the lines go through it. So we'll do that later, or not. You know, maybe I won't do that. Maybe I'll just say you can choose which way you want to do it. It's up to you. But if you leave it like this, and since we're talking about it, I'll just do it right now. When you go to put your dimensions on it, you know, this is what happens. You get this kind of thing, and that's no good right there. And you pull this off, which is better, but you still get the extension lines overlapping on the lines of the spoke itself, and it's really not the best way to do this. It's one of those things where there's just, you know, there's no great way to do it, and you kind of just got to suffer through it. That value is coming up wrong. Let's see if I can get that right here. Let me zoom in on that. Remember, you don't want to touch these guys on the money. You don't want the legs to actually make contact here with the center of the ellipse, because if you do that, the extension lines just go right into the lines and there's no gap at all, and that's no good. You need to have some gap. I would say even more than that. I would say maybe something like this, so that they don't appear to be blending into it, you know. All right. So I'm going to leave that dimensioned and move on. What's left? Let's turn off the construction lines. There is one last thing we got to do to make these wheels the same, and that's trim out the little bits in here. So I'll get rid of that stuff where the spokes meet the outer ring. Excellent. Okay, we'll do the rest of the dimensioning when we're done here. So the next thing we got to do is draw the section view, okay? So let's turn back the construction lines on and get started on that. Its placement is kind of random over here. I'm going to start with its center though. So that line represents the center going through the whole thing, and then we'll just offset accordingly. So we'll start with the inside stuff and work our way out. The spokes themselves, remember in this direction are 5/8 of an inch thick. So offsetting the center line in both directions would be 5/16, right? So we'll do that. And 5/16, enter. 5/16 going both ways. There it is. Okay, next is the ring itself. The ring itself is 1.125, which is 9/8. So the offset for that is going to be 9/16. Again, from the center outward in both directions. Okay, and then lastly, the width of the hub itself, which you can see there is a 1 3/4. So that is 7/4 total. So half of that would be 7/16. So we'll do that. Oh, enter 7/16 from the center outward on both sides. And yeah, hopefully that's right. Zoom in here a little bit so we can see what we're doing. And I think that last one, I don't know, it didn't take. Try that again. I did something wrong on that last one. So it's 1 3/4, which would be, yeah, 7/4. All right, so 7/16. Oh, enter. Sorry, I'm having a little issue here. Let me just clarify this on this guy here. 0.860. Oh yes, of course. I'm doing my math wrong. I knew I was doing something wrong. It's 7/8, not 7/16. That's what it is. Sorry, it's a 7/8 offset from the center out. That makes a lot more sense. 7/8. All right. And I'm just going to check that real quick. Do a little quick comparison of this one on my original, just to make sure I'm not making any mistakes. All right. Object layer. Here we go. We'll start off with the inside, all right? So here's the hub. Just doing a line straight across. And close. And then the hole going through it. And here's the keyway right beneath that. Okay. The next thing is this little bump, right, we talked about. And you can see I dimensioned it on the bottom. I did a construction line from it. So you can see over here the bottom of this radius here. So there's that radius, and right where it intersects the center line, I brought that construction line across. There isn't one up on the top view, I shouldn't say the top view, but on top of this ring here. There's no arc to click on there. So you got to use the one on the bottom as your point. And we are given that radius as being 5/8. So I'm going to offset that line right there that's coming from this arc 5/8 of an inch. So here we go. O, enter, 0.625. I'm going to click on it and go upward. There it is. And then I'm going to make a 5/8 radius circle. So I'm going to click on its center line there and pull it outward and type 5/8 or 0.625. Okay. Now that is the little bump that we need. That's this little bump that you see right there. Okay. Let me zoom in on that. And we'll turn the construction lines off so that I can trim that out better. Get rid of this, get rid of this, delete that piece. That's it. And to put it on the other side, I'm just going to mirror that. So M-I, enter, pick it, enter, go from center to center, and then trim that piece out. Okay. So just simple mirror command. But again, the bottom of it came from this guy over here. So I'll just draw a line and show you. So just bringing this guy right across from there, got us to the bottom of that one, right? And then we offset that line. Try to show you that one more time in a different color. So that came across from the top there. And then we offset that line, 0.625. There it is. And then we made that circle, right, from the center line and just brought it back to this line. There it is. So that's simple. All right. Let's turn the construction lines back on and finish this thing up here. Next move, make the circles that make up the ring itself. I'm going to put the center lines in there so they are, it's easier to do here. So drop those center lines, there we go. Give me something to click on. And then I'll just go from the center to the edge. And if you wanted, you could mirror all of this. You know, I mirrored that one little hump there. I could have mirrored the whole thing just as easily. It's not a lot of work, but if you want, you could. Either way, I think for the sake of expediency, that is what I'm going to do. So I'll just do the one side, and then I'll mirror the rest of it. Connect these lines here. So that's the outside of the wheel. The spoke lines themselves actually come in here. So let's zoom in on that a little tighter. And spoke lines go from there to there. Okay. Now, interestingly, I went to a lot of trouble to get that right on the money. Those spoke lines aren't going to quite be attached like that because they actually have a fillet. So you can see here, they have this fillet that goes in this way and on both sides, and that's 1/4 of an inch. So let's turn off the construction lines and do that. So F, enter, R, enter, 0.25, enter, and it goes from this line to that one, and from this line to that one, from this line to that arc, and from this line to that arc. So those are all filleted. And if you zoom in on this real tight, something interesting is going on here. So we lost the line. This line got wiped out, and you can bring it back here to be technically correct. So this is exactly how it is drawn in the plans we were given. And honestly, I feel like they may have intended for these to blend together. It may be, after all, that they really wanted it to be something like this. I'm not going to do that, but just for your own interest, they basically like that. This is what I think they were after, where it hits the tangent. I think they may have meant that, but this was close enough, and that's how they have it, so that's how we're going to leave it, with this radius being the 0.625. Okay, what do we got next? I think that's it. So we can mirror these items around. So we'll do that. MI enter. I'm just going to pick all this stuff, and we'll mirror it about the midpoint here. Okay, and we'll zoom out, and you can see the section view there is nearly complete. So it's time to start doing our dimensioning and stuff. Finish it up. So let's start with the one we were just on, the section view. Do some offsets so we can put these dimensions on correctly. O, enter, 0.25, enter. Come out here, grab these guys. You know how it's done. All right, so I think that'll work for that. And we'll go to my center line layer. And just one more, missed one there. Go to the center line layer and do this line that goes across the entire thing, showing that this entire thing is symmetrical about that axis. Then we'll do our center line through the hole here. There you go. Remember, extending out just 1/4 of an inch. And put these dimensions on. So showing this diameter and And we'll show this radius here. Let's get our radius, whoops, get our radius dimension. Bring that up somewhere around right here. Make sure you have it on the right layer, of course. Okay. And maybe I can bring this guy in a little bit. To show the hub width here, we're going to type the M, enter, and drop in that dimension symbol, that diameter symbol, sorry. And there we go. Place it. I do need to put on my center lines. I don't want to forget that. The last one I need to do is this guy here. So coming in from the total width of the hub. There it is. Okay, and then we'll put the center lines on this guy for the holes themselves. This one at the bottom, you got to be a little careful. I'm using my nearest snap to not, I'm gonna have to zoom in on that, guys, because it's grabbing the things around it. Because I don't want these lines to hit those extension lines. So I'm just going to kind of split it down the middle here. There it is. And then the one on top, well, that's easy. That's just from construction line to construction line. So there you go. Looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. We'll do the hatch at the very end. Let's put this note here. So the note is section AA. Remember to make it 0.125 in height. Do a center, middle center justification. There you go. Perfect. Maybe move it up a little bit, a little closer. All right, so that guy I think is pretty much done. Well, like I said, we'll do the hatch lines at the very end here. Let's work on the wheel itself. Do some offsets. And offset this arc a couple times. That'll give us some lines to click on. Yeah, I think that's about right. Let's make those construction lines though. We don't want to get confused. I'll select them right now, put them on my construction layer. All right, so let's do these dimensions. The 5 times R50. So that's letting everybody know that this is the one exception. So all the other fillets were quarter. So this guy is the one exception. And we're just letting people know that. And what I need to do is change that value to say 5x and then space. All right. The next thing I'm going to do is blow that guy up because I don't like this arc extension thing. I hate that. So I'm going to explode that, explode, enter, delete, get rid of that thing, boom, grab the end point of this guy, move it, M, enter. So I'm going to move him by the tip and bring him to where I want him, which is just like right in the middle of that arc. And then I'm going to grab the end of that line and stretch it to the same point. There it is. So that is the look I'm after. Next dimension is a diameter dimension, and that is of the center line for the ring itself. So we'll just say that guy is going to go here. And then we have the hole going through the whole thing. We'll put that guy right there. Okay, so that's how we got those. We've already done the revolved section there. The keyway is next. Let's knock that guy out. So we're going to go from the top of the arc all the way down to the bottom of that keyway and bring that out. And I pulled this guy down because I wanted to make room for the center line that's coming. So that's why I did that. And same thing on the width of the keyway. I made room for the cut line that's coming. So I'm going to pull that over to this side, kind of get him out of the way here. Okay. I'm going to zoom in on that just a little bit, just to show you how I want to pull away these extension lines. I don't want them touching the object. I'm going to have this guy is obviously right there. That's pretty easy. But this one I need to pull off a little further. Maybe there, because I do not want it appearing to touch that circle. Okay. And we'll do the this note. So to do that note, I'm just going to copy this note, C-O, enter, grab this guy, put him over here, and double click on him and retype what I want. All fillets R equals 0.250 return unless noted otherwise. Check. And if that's not big enough, you can stretch it out a little bit, make it so that it'll fit. There you go. Okay. Cut line. Get on the phantom layer. Draw that line right through the center line. There it is, coming down. We're gonna go a little past this one, and then make the leader. Go to my leader and make sure that's coming out here a little further. There it is. Go back. Remember to hit the enter button when you're doing that. Come on, enter button. Type the letter A. And make sure that A is 0.250 in size. Okay. So, whoops. There it is. I think we're good. So that needs to be the big one. And then, you know how I like to do this. I like to just copy or mirror, copy whatever. I'll just copy these guys so that I don't have to redo them. So I'm grabbing both the leader and the letter and typing CO enter, grabbing it by the end point and then moving it up to here. That's a lot better than redoing it. And I know they're going to be identical. Okay. I need to put a center line through the hand wheel here from end to end. I think that's pretty good. So I'm going to turn off my construction lines and zoom out just a little bit. I can compare these two, make sure I haven't missed anything. Okay, I think we got pretty much all of it. Let's zoom in on this guy and put in the hatch. Nothing to the hatch, just make sure you've turned off the center lines and construction lines and all that stuff. And that way it doesn't interfere. And even the phantom line, get rid of that too. So that there's nothing going to interfere with this stuff, all right? So I'm going to my hatch, and I've got it on 1.3, a little bigger. We'll fill in these guys, and then the revolved section, there it is, check mark. If you want to do the broken out section here like I did, here's how it's done. Pretty simple. You just go to your object layer, make kind of a random line here, not too sharp, just kind of gentle zigzags. No, nothing, no shark teeth, right? Just gentle angled lines. And then trim away the part in the middle here. There you go. So either way, again, the breakout is not as common. I only did that because I really didn't have any other place to put these dimensions. So it helped having that.